The invitation. The first thing Captain Mara Cortez noticed about the Tska delegation was how shiny they were. Not shiny in the sense of ceremonial armor or polished chrome, though they had both, but shiny like something that had just molted and wasn't entirely comfortable in its own skin. They stood tall, six-legged insectoids with iridescent carapaces, mandibles that clicked when they spoke, and long, blade-like forelimbs that gleamed in the station lights. They also smelled faintly like hot pennies. Captain Cortez of the Terran United Expeditionary Corps, the tallest Ska, announced, its translator humming through a series of clicks and trills. Your species is honored. You have been chosen to participate in a grand deathmatch. Mara folded her arms. Honored isn't the word I'd pick. The alien's mandibles twitched, maybe a smile, maybe a warning. Behind it, the other Tska shifted uneasily. She noticed their antennae kept flicking toward the far end of the docking bay, as though worried something might be listening. They'd sent the invitation a month ago, a formal challenge, encrypted and sealed, citing an ancient interstellar custom. In the galactic community, large-scale disputes weren't settled by wars that could annihilate entire worlds. Instead, they were decided in massive, televised deathmatches on neutral ground. Two factions, or their chosen champions, would enter a colossal arena filled with hazards, traps, and hostile fauna. One side would emerge victorious. The other didn't emerge at all. The Tska had challenged their rivals, the Yaru, a reptilian species infamous for its brutality, over a resource-rich star system. According to the invitation, the humans were to join the Tska team as auxiliary participants, adding diversity and intrigue to the spectacle. Mara had been in the military long enough to smell when something was off. Diversity and intrigue weren't why you brought strangers into a fight to the death. Still, the Terran United Assembly had voted to accept. Humanity was new to the galactic stage, and an event broadcast to trillions was an opportunity to show what Earth could do. The political speeches back home had been full of phrases like diplomatic engagement and soft power projection. Mara suspected they really meant send someone expendable but camera-friendly. Her squad, 8 soldiers, 1 combat medic, 2 tech specialists, followed her down the ramp, their boots clanging on the docking bay floor. They carried standard gear for now. Deathmatch rules allowed for weapons up to a certain tech tier, but all gear would be inspected before the event. The Tska delegation bowed, their joints creaking faintly. The arena is prepared, their leader said. You will find it stimulating. Mara narrowed her eyes. I bet we will. Why us, exactly? There was a pause. The translator hummed, then output, humans possess unpredictability. It will be advantageous. To whom, they didn't say. 2 days later, they made planetfall on the arena world. From orbit, it was a patchwork of climates. Desert plateaus bordering frozen seas, steaming jungles beside sheer volcanic ridges. The arena itself was a megastructure built over millennia, layers of terrain shifting on massive platforms, powered by reactors older than most civilizations in the galaxy. Entire ecosystems were bred inside its walls, many specifically designed to kill. The arrival docks bustled with other alien delegations. The Yaru stalked through the crowd, towering reptiloids with heavy jaws, scaled in shades of burnished bronze. Their armor looked like it had been grown rather than forged, and their eyes followed the humans with the slow patience of a predator measuring distance to prey. The Tska kept their distance from the Yaru. Mara noticed they also kept close to the humans, almost uncomfortably so. It was like walking with someone who always made sure you were between them and the nearest open space. They were shown to a preparation hall, a vaulted chamber with armor racks, weapon displays, and holomaps of the arena. This, the Tska leader said, gesturing to the maps, is where the match will begin. You will fight alongside us against the Yaru. And the other variables? Mara asked. The alien hesitated. Its mandibles clicked twice before the translator replied, there may be indigenous fauna. Mara caught her tech specialist, Jean, raising an eyebrow. Indigenous fauna in an arena designed for war usually meant engineered nightmares. Still, she gave a nod. We'll adapt. The Tska inclined their heads in something approximating respect. But even then, Mara saw it, the faint tremor in their forelimbs, the twitching antennae, the quick glances toward the sealed gates that led down into the arena. They were afraid. And whatever they were afraid of, they clearly intended for the humans to meet it first. into the pit. The gates were older than most species in the galaxy. Black metal the width of a city block, carved with sigils from a dozen extinct civilizations, sealed the arena's mouth like the jaws of some titanic beast. They pulsed faintly, as though breathing. Somewhere deep within, machinery rumbled, a sound too low for human ears, felt instead in the chest and bones. Captain Mara Cortez stood at the front of her squad, helmet in the crook of her arm, eyes fixed on the barrier. Beside her, the TSCA delegation shifted nervously, their clawed feet tapping the deck in uneven rhythms. The match briefing had been simple: fight as a united team, eliminate the Yaru or force them into submission, survive the environmental hazards. But the details had been frustratingly vague. No map. No schedule for hazard shifts. No mention of what exactly lived inside. The Yaru stood at the far end of the staging platform, motionless as statues, watching. Their heavy armor plates caught the light in dull flashes, and their massive hands rested casually on the hafts of long-bladed pole arms. A siren wailed. The gates began to part. The smell hit first, a damp, mineral scent, like jungle soil after a storm, overlaid with something coppery and faintly sweet. The air was warmer on the other side, and the light was different, less a sun and more a network of glowing towers hidden by clouds. Mara's squad powered up their armor systems. Heads-up displays came alive, vitals in the corner, ammo counters blinking green, environmental readings flickering with anomalies. "Stay tight," Mara said over comms. "Expect anything." The gates slammed open. They stepped into chaos. The terrain rolled out in a series of jagged basalt ridges and steaming valleys, split by rivers of glowing magma that pulsed like veins. Above, massive flying shapes wheeled in the sulphurous haze. Something roared, a deep, primal sound that made even the Yaru pause. And then the predators arrived. They came fast, bounding across the ridges, six-legged beasts with slick, armored hides and mouths full of razored teeth. Their eyes glowed a pale, unnatural blue, and their movement was almost too smooth, like machines imitating life. The first one leapt straight for Mara. She sidestepped, bringing her rifle up and hammering 3 bursts into its skull. The creature crumpled but didn't stop moving until she put a 4th round through its eye. "Contact front and flank." Jin's voice snapped in her ear. Her squad wheeled to meet the threat, laying down disciplined fire. That's when she noticed it. The TSCA were gone from the front line. She caught sight of them a dozen meters back, clustered together, shields raised, watching the humans fight. One of them actually shoved a human soldier forward as another predator charged, using the human's armor as cover. "You've got to be kidding me," Mara growled. "TSCA, get your shiny hides up here." No response. Another beast lunged at Private Lang. Mara's combat knife was in her hand before she'd even thought about it. 3 quick strikes under its jaw, and it fell twitching to the ground. The Yaru had engaged too, but unlike the TSCA, they seemed to relish the chaos. They fought in brutal arcs, severing limbs and heads, using sheer strength to drive the predators back. But they were pushing toward the humans' flank, forcing them to split focus. Mara knew this couldn't last. They were burning ammo, the predators weren't slowing, and the arena was already shifting, the basalt ridges groaning as plates of terrain began to slide. She switched to squad-wide comms. "New plan. The TSCA aren't coming forward, so we fight smart. Push the beasts toward the Yaru, make them deal with the numbers. Use terrain, use angles. Don't waste rounds unless you've got a clean shot." Jean snorted. "So we're bait." "Exactly," Mara said. They adjusted quickly. Instead of trying to kill every predator outright, the humans used suppressive fire to drive the packs toward the Yaru. The reptiles had no choice but to engage, and in the process they took heavy casualties. From behind her visor, Mara caught the flick of TSCA antennae, watching, waiting, still hiding. They hadn't invited humans for diversity. They'd brought them here as living shields. But if that was the game, Mara intended to turn it right back on them. Turning the tide. The arena kept moving. Under their boots, the basalt ridges shuddered like living things. Far ahead, molten rivers rerouted themselves, carving new channels through rock with hissing steam. One cliff face groaned, tilted, and then folded in on itself like a collapsing lung, dumping half a dozen predators into the glowing abyss below. Captain Mara Cortez didn't waste the opening. "Jean, flag that position on the HUD." We're going to use it later. Copy, her tech specialist said, already tapping through menus, the marker appearing in the corner of Mara's visor. The Yaru were pushing hard on the right flank, swinging their massive pole arms in broad arcs that sliced through predator hide like butter. But their movements were slowing, their armor scored and smoking from claw strikes. The beasts weren't giving them a break. The Tska still lingered well behind the humans, moving only when a predator got too close. They'd fire a burst or swipe with a blade, then immediately retreat to cover, usually behind a human soldier. Mara had seen enough. "Squad, listen up," she said over comms, her voice level but edged. "We're not playing shield anymore. We're taking control of this fight. Step 1, stop reacting. Step 2, make the arena work for us." She switched channels to private. "Jean, give me an environmental scan. What's changing next?" There was a pause as the specialist hacked into the arena's sensor feed. "Got it. There's a plate shift in 90 seconds. Northwest quadrant's going to drop by 20 meters. Big sinkhole, fresh magma vents." Mara smiled thinly. "Perfect. That's where we'll send the Yaru." They moved fast, drawing predators away from the sinkhole zone and toward the Yaru's path. The reptiles, too focused on the fight, didn't notice they were being herded. Private Lang lobbed a concussion grenade into a cluster of predators, sending them scrambling in the exact direction Mara wanted. Sergeant Vale used suppressive fire to push another group along the ridgeline. Even the environment cooperated. An unexpected geyser of superheated steam erupted behind the Yaru, cutting off their retreat. Meanwhile, the humans stayed mobile, firing only to direct movement rather than kill outright. It was a strategy born from centuries of asymmetric warfare. Don't match strength with strength, let the enemy fight for you. The Tska watched in silent astonishment as the humans shaped the battlefield. The predators hit the Yaru line all at once, 3 directions, claws and teeth flashing. The reptiles roared, lashing out with brutal strikes, but for every beast they killed, another took its place. They had no time to notice that the rock beneath their feet was starting to fracture. "Sinkhole in 3, 2, Jin's voice counted down in Mara's ear. The ground gave way. The collapse was sudden and violent, an entire section of the arena floor dropping like a trapdoor. Lava light blazed from below, and heat washed over the combatants. 3 Yaru fell instantly, dragged down by predators. The rest scrambled for footing, slipping on fresh cracks. Mara's squad poured fire into the edge of the collapse, forcing the Yaru back toward the failing rock. Another plate gave way, and 2 more vanished into the molten pit. The audience, tens of billions watching across the galaxy, erupted in cheers. By the time the ground stabilized, the Yaru were down to half strength. The predators, having lost numbers to the pit, turned their attention elsewhere. The humans stood intact, armor scorched but formation tight. And the Tska. They were still in the rear, antennae twitching nervously. Mara keyed her comm to the Tska leader. "You can come forward now. Most of the work's done." A long pause, then the translator's metallic voice, "Your adaptability is impressive." Mara kept her tone flat. "It's called not dying. You should try it sometime." They regrouped near a cooled lava ridge, using the brief lull to reload and patch armor breaches. Mara scanned the arena map, terrain still shifting, hazards still random. But now, she understood the rhythm. The arena wasn't chaos, it was a machine, and she could read its moving parts. The Tska thought humans were here to take the hits for them. The Yaru thought humans were just another obstacle to crush. Both were wrong. The humans weren't shields anymore. They were the hunters. Victory, humanity style. The arena was bleeding. Not in the literal sense, though molten rivers still cut through the shifting ground, but in the way a battlefield bleeds. Sound fading, survivors scattered, the air heavy with heat and exhaustion. Captain Mara Cortez stood atop a cooled lava ridge, visor open, eyes locked on the last Yaru cluster. They were battered but unbroken, their heavy polearms rising and falling in steady arcs. Around them, the few remaining predators circled like vultures waiting for the kill. "Status," Mara said over comms. "All green," Sergeant Vale replied. "Ammo's low but serviceable. We've got position." Jin's voice followed. "Environmental shift in 60 seconds. Northwest ridge collapse. Big one." Mara glanced at the holomap on her wrist. That ridge was where the Yaru had dug in. One more hazard, one more push, and the match would be theirs. Behind her, the Tska hovered nervously, antennae twitching. They hadn't moved forward once since the start of the fight. Now, seeing victory in reach, they inched closer to the humans, claws flexing as if ready to claim the glory themselves. Mara keyed her comm privately to her squad. Final play. We're going to gift wrap this win. They moved fast, skirting the ridge under cover of the terrain shifts. Predators still prowled nearby, drawn by the scent of blood. The humans baited them forward with precision fire, sending them straight into the Yaru's defensive line. The reptiles roared in frustration, fighting on two fronts, predators snapping at their legs while the humans harried them from range. Jin's countdown started. 10 seconds to collapse. Mara switched to open comms, letting the Tska hear her. Pushing the enemy toward the hazard now. Anyone with guts, follow me. She knew they wouldn't. On 3, the ridge groaned, a deep, shuddering crack, and then dropped away in a cascade of rock and fire. The Yaru tumbled, some dragging predators with them into the molten abyss. The survivors staggered, disoriented, easy targets. The humans advanced in perfect formation, cutting them down one by one until the last Yaru fell. The arena went still. Then a deep, resonant tone rolled across the landscape, signaling the match's end. Above, massive holoscreens lit up, replaying the battle from dozens of angles, most of them showing humans leading the charge, improvising traps, and driving the fight. The Tska, undeterred by facts, surged forward. Their leader raised a forelimb high, mandibles spread in what the translator called a triumphant declaration. Victory is ours. Our strategic foresight and martial excellence have prevailed. Mara's visor hid her expression, but Vale's quiet snort over comms told her the whole squad shared the sentiment. The post-match ceremony took place on a high platform above the arena floor. Galactic dignitaries, commentators, and trillions of viewers tuned in. The Tska gave a long speech about courage, unity, and the value of our human allies. They never mentioned hiding behind those allies from the first minute of the match. When it was the humans' turn, Mara stepped to the podium. The Tska leader stood beside her, smiling for the cameras. On behalf of Earth, Mara said, voice steady, we're honored to have fought alongside our partners. It was an instructive experience. She let that word, instructive, hang in the air. And to the galaxy at large, she added, if anyone needs unpredictable, adaptive, and very determined problem solvers, our comm channels are open. The crowd laughed, some knowingly. The Yaru delegation glared. The Tska's antennae twitched in confusion, as if unsure whether they'd just been insulted. That night, the match footage went viral. Viewers replayed the scenes of Tska cowering behind humans, using them as shields, refusing to advance. Memes spread in every major language, still images captioned with phrases like, pulling at Tska, and hide behind humanity. Mara's favorite clip was one of her squad driving the Yaru into the sinkhole, set to a human rock anthem. By morning, she had 12 discreet offers from other species to act as combat trainers or strategic advisors. She declined, for now. But she made sure Earth's negotiators knew the asking price had just gone up. The Tska never publicly admitted fear. They never had to. The galaxy had already decided the truth. When things got dangerous, they hid behind the humans. And the humans. They walked out of the deathmatch not as shields, but as the species you wanted standing in front of you when the gates opened.